Evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. As we wait for some more people to join, I am Jordan Cooper. I'm one of the JD admissions counselors here at Vermont Law Graduate School. I'm joined by Katie Merrill, who is our Dean of Admissions. And currently we are also joined by Ann Linehan, who is the director of our Maverick Lloyd for the School for the Environment. So we will shortly, in a few minutes, be joined by Jennifer Rushlow, who is the Dean of the Maverick Lloyd School for Environment. And so we are very excited to have you here. We're excited to see some familiar faces. And for those where this is your first information session that you're joining, we're so happy to have you. So while we wait for some more people to join, maybe we'll wait just a few minutes. We'll invite you to share either in the chat or if you'd like to share your camera, your favorite TV show that you're watching right now. And I can start it off. So right now I'm a very big reality TV show fan. Any show on Bravo is and so right now I'm rewatching Below Deck, which follows stews and stewardesses and deckhands that are working on like private charter yachts. And it's very interesting. Drama ensues. Katie, I'll pass it to you. What's your favorite show?
So it's kind of funny. I love British mysteries, British comedy, and my nickname in my household is Hyacinth. And I just started watching it again, and I am laughing because I'm very similar. And so I'll have to show you a clip, but Keeping Up Appearances, it's really funny.
Oh, nice.
So that's one of my favorite shows that I just am rewatching.
Awesome. It looks like in the chat, Cassidy, you're watching Psych. Love that show. So funny. Real Housewives of New York from the beginning. Gabrielle, I've done the same thing. So good. And The Sopranos, Morgan, that's very amazing. I just finished The Sopranos a few months ago for the first time. So good. Oh, Love is Blind. Stacey, are you watching the newest season?
And I have to comment, Jordan and I were watching it the whole time and chatting about it. We're like, can you believe what happened?
Yes, that was fun. For those that are just joining, we're waiting a few more minutes before we officially start, and we are just sharing our favorite shows right now. Oh, British baking show. I love that. That's a good one, Anne. Classic. It's a feel-good show for sure.
That's why you turn the TV off. That's why you turn the TV off.
Awesome. Well, we can go ahead and get started. As for those that just joined, I'm Jordan Cooper. I'm one of the JD admissions counselors here, and we are joined by Dean of Admissions, Katie Merrill, and Ann Linehan, who is the director of the Maverick Lloyd School for the Environment that we have here on campus. And you'll learn all about it and the different programs and opportunities that it offers shortly. But while we wait, we are also going to be joined by the Dean of the Maverick Lloyd School for the Environment, Jennifer Rushlow, who will also be sharing the really interesting things that our school has to offer. So with that, I would love to introduce Anne. We are sharing a PowerPoint here, and Anne, I'll let you kind of tell me where you want to start.
All right, thanks, Jordan. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us this evening. I'm Ann Linehan. I've been here at the school for a really long time. I'm in my 26th year. I've worked in the environmental program the entire time, and a big part of my job is that I'm an academic advisor for students in our various environmental degree programs. So I talk with a lot of JD students who are interested in one of our joint degrees or one of our dual degrees with other schools, or just being a straight up JD student and studying environmental law and policy. So I'm going to start us off by talking about our joint and dual degree programs. And then when Dean Rushlow joins us in a little bit, she's going to talk some more about our various environmental clinics and centers on campus. But let's go to the next slide and start talking about the joint degrees that we have. So about 20% or so of our residential JD students will earn an environmental master's degree along with their JD degree. So a nice thing about the joint degrees is that you can get both the JD and the master's in the same 3 years that it would just take you to get a JD degree. Basically, your master's action is happening in the 2 summers between your 3 years of law school. And doing the master's, it opens up more room in your busy law school schedule to fit in more specialized environmental elective classes. And the master's degree also has special policy courses. I mean, you're combining a law degree and a policy degree, and those policy skills are going to complement the lawyering skills that you're getting on the JD side. So let's look at the next slide. We have a number of different environmental master's degrees here at our school. So we've got the Master of Climate and Environmental Policy. This is sort of our general environmental master's degree. It's kind of the broadest of the environmental degrees. And then we've got our Master of Energy Regulation and Law. And can I tell you how happy I was to find that little electric car icon to go in my PowerPoint? I think it's the coolest. So that one's obviously focused more specifically on energy. And then new this year, we're rolling out a Master of Public Policy degree. And that degree, the MPP, students can choose from a number of different tracks, including some environmentally related tracks, which are animal protection policy, food and agriculture policy, and clean energy policy. So let's go to the next slide. So as I mentioned, these master's degrees are going to add special policy skills that are different from the courses that you're getting on the JD side. So you're going to be looking at public policy, policy design, quantitative analysis, things that are not law courses. These are different kinds of skills that you're putting together in a combination. We also have the skills modules that are a required part of the program. So we really want students to graduate with a nice, well-rounded set of skills in the policy realm. So let's look at the next slide and talk a little more about how the joint degrees actually work. So I mentioned that you can earn both a JD and a master's degree in the same 3 years that it takes you to just get your JD degree. So here's a little more detail on how that works. So typically when you get here, you do your first year of the JD program, and it's a set curriculum. Everybody's taking the same thing. We hand you your schedule. You're taking civil procedure and torts and property law, legal research and writing, sort of the same thing that you're getting at most law schools. It's your standard first year law curriculum. And then the summer after your first year, if you're pursuing a master's degree, you would stay here on campus and take classes towards the master's degree. And summer is it's really the loveliest time of year in Vermont. I think at this particular gray, rainy April day that we're having, we're all very much looking forward to the green, lush time of summer in Vermont. And academically, this summer is a real highlight of our environmental program. You take short, intense, specialized classes in the summer. You take one class at a time for 2 weeks. So it's sort of like a little mini block program, one class for 2 weeks, and then the next class and the next class. And most of the classes in the summer are taught by adjuncts who are practitioners. So they're experts in their field, and they're coming to us from agencies like the Department of Justice. They might be coming from public utilities, law firms, environmental nonprofits. Some of them are faculty at other law schools, but so it's a great learning opportunity, and it's also just a terrific networking opportunity because these are the dream jobs that our students want to have someday. And so starting to meet these people and get to know them, these are going to be, your professional contacts down the road. So that's your first summer. You're probably taking 5 different specialized environmental electives. We have a whole series of energy classes and a whole series of food and ag classes and international environmental, land use, environmental justice, just a big range. We have, I think, 25 or 26 different classes lined up for this coming summer. So that's the first summer. And then you come back and you do your second year of the JD program. And then the summer after your second year, you would typically do an externship for credit towards your master's degree. And that's out in the real world. You're getting hands-on experience. We're helping you find that placement. We don't expect you to do that all on your own. And we're helping you be strategic. So depending where it is that you want to be after graduation and what kind of work you want to be doing, we're going to help find a good placement for you. And then you come back and you do your third and final year of the JD program. And there are, you'll take some environmental law and policy classes during your second and third years of the JD, and we let you count some of those JD credits towards the master's. You're double counting the credits. We call it sharing credits, which sounds so nice. So you're allowed to share 12 of your JD credits with the master's. So that is in the real quick and dirty version of how the joint degree works. Okay, let's go to the next slide and look at the Master of Climate and Environmental Policy degree. So that's the one that I described as sort of our most general environmental law degree. And it's got some specific required courses focused on climate change and environmental justice. But it also just has the wide world of environmental electives that we have at this school. We have over 50 different environmental electives offered every year. And that doesn't mean like 3 of those 50 is offering environmental law 3 times. I mean, 50 different environmental electives every year. So more than you could ever take in I don't know how many years of school. There's just a lot to choose from. And those are all available to you if you're pursuing that Master of Climate and Environmental Policy degree. On the next slide, we've got the Master of Energy Regulation and Law, the MERL degree for short. And this one is more specialized, more specifically focused on energy topics. You can see the extensive list of different energy electives that we offer here. And this is a combination of residential classes, some online classes, some summer classes. So nice list of energy classes there. And then we get into our new Master of Public Policy degree. Excuse me for coughing. All right, so the Master of Public Policy degree is new, starting this fall, and the MPP has a set of required public policy courses that all of the MPP students will take. And so those are some of the ones you saw earlier, like the government administration class, the policy design class, the introduction to public policy class. Those are for all students getting the MPP degree. And then each MPP student chooses a track. So roughly half of your MPP courses are required sort of general policy courses, and the other half are your track courses. So if you choose the animal protection policy track, these are the animal courses that we have in our curriculum, and you would be choosing from this exciting list of animal related classes. There's a couple more on the list that didn't make it onto this slide, like biodiversity protection and ocean and coastal law, that gets into a lot of like the Marine Mammal Protection Act. So a nice diverse array of animal protection classes, if that's what you're interested in. I once had a student think that the undercover investigations of animal operations class was a field class. It is most definitely not a field course. That is a classroom class. We would not be sending students out on actual undercover investigations. Okay, another track in the MPP program on the next slide is the food and agricultural policy track. There you can see the smiling face of Professor Lori Bayranovan. She's the director of our Center for Agriculture and Food Systems and teaches food regulation and policy. So this track works basically the same way as I just described for the animal protection track, except obviously the courses here are focused on sustainable food systems, food and agriculture issues. We have, again, an exciting and pretty unique array of food and agriculture classes in the curriculum. Again, it's a mix of residential, online, summer, regular year classes. So lots of food and ag courses to choose from. The MPP also has a clean energy track, so it's quite similar to the Master of Energy Regulation and Law degree. A little like more policy courses, a little less room for electives. So that's the kind of thing that you could chat with me or with an admissions counselor about if you're interested in the energy side of things, figuring out which of those options makes the most sense. The MPP also has a criminal justice track, and it also has sort of a general, I call it the choose your own adventure track. It's sort of a general policy track, which is all the classes, everything that we have that is approved for master's students. So you could really create your own specialty within the MPP degree. And if you're somebody who doesn't like to be pinned down or told which classes to take, then perhaps the choose your own adventure MPP is the one for you. So that is sort of a quick and dirty overview of our joint degrees. I'll teach you a little lingo. A joint degree is when you're getting two degrees from the same school. So if you got your JD and your MPP, both from Vermont Law and Graduate School, that would be a joint degree. A dual degree is when you get 2 degrees from 2 different schools. And we have a couple of really exciting dual degree opportunities for our JD students. So one of those is a JD from Vermont and a Master of Environmental Management from the School of the Environment at Yale University. So this is obviously Yale is one of the world's leading universities, so it's certainly a terrific opportunity to have an experience going to Yale and having that on your resume. New Haven is my hometown. That's where I was born and raised. It's a great city, a completely different vibe and atmosphere from South Royalton, Vermont. Way better pizza. So the way that this dual degree works, you would typically do your first 2 years in your JD program here at Vermont, and then you would go down to Yale for a year and a half, and then you would have 1 more semester to finish your JD degree. There are different ways to get creative and put it together, but that's kind of the basic one. Students typically apply to Yale during the first year of their JD program here. We are very fortunate to have a great contact with the dual degree program at Yale. He's a graduate. He got his JD from Vermont and his MEM from Yale, and he's been on the Yale faculty. He's now on the PACE faculty, but he works with our dual degree students really closely. So if any of you are interested in this particular dual degree and want to learn more, the admissions team can put you in touch with me, and I can put you in touch with our contact there, so you can talk to him more about it if you're excited. And he comes up every year in the fall to do an info session about the program so that students can learn more. But it's really exciting. Students have access not just to classes at Yale's School of the Environment, but all across the university. So you could take like an environmental health class in the medical school, or a sustainable management class in the business school. Or it doesn't even need to be environmental. Like students have gone down there and taken art history or Chinese as part of their program. So it's a pretty flexible pretty flexible program. The other environmental dual degree that we offer for JD students on our next slide is a JD from Vermont and an MPhil in environmental policy from the University of Cambridge in England. There is Maeve McDermott, who's a recent graduate who got the dual degree, and you can see that she had a completely fabulous time at Cambridge. That one is structured a little bit differently, in that you do your first 2 years in Vermont, and then a year at Cambridge, as opposed to a year and a half with the Yale program, and then you have one more semester in Vermont when you're done. This program, again, you would apply during your first year. Dual degree programs by their nature are always very small. These particular dual degrees, I mean, you've got to apply and be admitted to Yale or to Cambridge. So it is competitive admission to these programs, but we have, most years we have probably 2 students who go to Yale and 1 or 2 students who go to Cambridge. I've just been talking to one of our students who just got admitted to Cambridge. She's super excited, and I'm connecting her with one of our grads, not Maeve, but another recent Cambridge grad. So they're comparing notes and getting really excited about the program. So it's a very, it's a unique opportunity. It's Cambridge, again, just a terrific university and a great learning experience. And again, with this program, we're really fortunate to have a contact at Cambridge, she used to be a member of our board of trustees here at Vermont, and she's on the faculty in the Department of Land Economy, which is the home of this degree at Cambridge. And she's just, again, another great resource for students who are thinking about the program. And once they're there, she's a wonderful host for our students. She does things like getting them seated at high table in their college at Cambridge, so it looks like Harry Potter. You're sitting at this big fancy table in your academic garb. So a really cool experience there. All right, Jordan, has Jenny joined us yet? Do we know? Okay.
Yes,
great.
so yes, Jenny's joined us. And
Okay.
with that, are you done with the PowerPoint, or would you like me to stop sharing?
I think let's give Jenny a second to introduce herself, and then
Sure.
the remainder of the PowerPoint are Jenny's
Perfect.
slides. So we'll roll over to her.
Awesome.
Perfect. Can you hear me and see me okay?
Yes, we can. Thank you so much for joining us.
Okay, no problem. So hello, everybody. I'm Jenny Rushlow. I'm the Dean of the Maverick Lloyd School for the Environment at Vermont Law and Graduate School. I'm also the director of the Environmental Law Center at the law school. So in my role, I basically get to work with and oversee all aspects of our environmental programs at the school, from curriculum to faculty to law school clinics to research programs, that sort of thing. And the way our school is structured is that our environmental master's degrees live in the Maverick Lloyd School for the Environment. So if you were to receive one of the master's degrees that's offered by Vermont Law and Graduate School, not the degrees from Oxford or Yale, those degrees would be coming from Maverick Lloyd School for the Environment. And something that really distinguishes our School for the Environment is a real commitment to the solutions of tomorrow to our environmental problems. We're very focused on teaching students to solve the modern environmental problems of our day: climate change, environmental justice, clean energy transitions, a clean and sustainable food system, and preparing our students with the skills that they'll need to take on the jobs that they come to us with the hope of pursuing. So what I'm going to do is just give an overview of our core environmental programs and give you a sense of what kind of work happens in those programs and some of the clinical opportunities where our students get on the ground experience in those subject matter areas. So I'll start with clean energy. We have a very robust energy program at VLGS, and it is distinguished by its focus on clean energy and the transition to a clean energy future. There are other energy programs out there in the country where you can learn about oil and gas focused energy law. We have an oil and gas class, but we're kind of coming at it from a different perspective where we're really focused on teaching the skills that are needed to shift from a fossil fuel energy economy to sustainable energy sources. So we have an Institute for Energy and the Environment. And within that institute, we have an energy clinic where students practice transactional energy law, and they do all kinds of projects. Something that kind of distinguishes the clinic is its focus on developing solar projects for low-income communities. So teaching students the kind of transactional law skills that they need to actually help get solar projects built, particularly at mobile home communities. So I know the clinic just worked to acquire $400,000 in public grant money to create a new solar installation, and that will go to a mobile home community of probably 50 or 60 homes that will be able to transition entirely to clean energy, and energy that will be more affordable for them. And so students will be working on things like helping to draft contracts and licensing agreements and other kind of legal instruments like that are needed to build out renewable energy projects. And students that are interested in our energy program can receive an energy concentration within their JD degree, or they can pursue a joint degree where they would receive a JD and either a Master of Energy Regulation and Law or a Master's in Public Policy with a focus in the clean energy track. Next slide, please. Okay, shifting over to food and agriculture. We also have an extremely robust program in food and agriculture centered at our Center for Agriculture and Food Systems, or CAFS, as we call it for short. And similar to our focus on clean energy, our agricultural program is one of the best and biggest in the country, but distinguished from a couple of others out there of similar size and quality by the fact that we focus on sustainable, healthful food systems, just food systems. We're not partnering with Monsanto. We're not partnering with massive conglomerate. We're not partnering with Purdue. So this is a program that's much more focused on the kind of agriculture we have in Vermont. And one thing that's really cool about studying with this program is that Vermont is such an icon when it comes to sustainable agriculture. And there's so many opportunities for field trips to farms and building relationships with farmers, working with farmers on legal work. So CAFS has a food and agriculture clinic where the students that participate in that clinic provide legal services to farmers and farming organizations, food access organizations. They develop legal resources through research and writing projects that then become available to those communities. And similar to the energy program, students can receive a concentration in this area with a JD. They can get a food and agriculture concentration, or they can receive a joint degree with a master's in public policy with that track in food and agriculture. Next slide. Next, I'll talk about our animal protection program. So the locus for our animal protection program at VLGS is in the Animal Law and Policy Institute. This is a very strong program with a very committed core team, and their focus is on advancing the legal status of animals. And like the other two centers, there is a clinic housed within this institute, the Farmed Animal Advocacy Clinic, where we teach our students to become effective advocates for farmed animals. And those students have had some really incredible results for their clients, and are getting experience in litigation, in policy reform, in advocacy to administrative bodies like the US Department of Agriculture. And students that are interested in animal protection, we have a concentration in the JD for this area. And we also have a master's degree. So we have a master's of public policy with an animal protection track. And so you could receive a JD along with that MPP with the animal focus. Next slide. We also have some very solid offerings in international environmental law, and we often get students coming to us who are interested in practicing environmental law internationally. Our flagship program in this area is the US-Asia Partnerships for Environmental Law, which works with partners in China and Southeast Asia to work comparatively and look at comparative law studies to address environmental and energy challenges that are happening in Asia. And that program has been around for more than 15 years, has led to some really incredible outcomes in China, including the development of the first public interest, like citizen suit statute in China, where citizens can sue polluters directly. Students can interact with this program through the Transnational Environmental Law Clinic, which is a very popular clinic we have, where students work with our US-Asia faculty and work with partners in China to develop more public participation opportunities in environmental decision making. I'll just add, it's not on the slide here, but another class we have that's very popular for students interested in international law is our international climate change law class, where it's by application because it is very popular, but our students travel to the UN annual climate change conference, which happens in a different part of the world every year. This year it was in Dubai, last year it was in Egypt. I think it's in Eastern Europe next year, and then I think Brazil the year after that. And something we're really proud of is that we fund our students' participation in that class. So students don't have to pay to travel and for lodging, which can be pretty exorbitant to some of these locations. And I think it's not an exaggeration to say that the students that go to that class, it's pretty life-changing for them. And many of them end up going into careers related to the work that they did in that class. Next slide. I want to highlight two clinics. These are standalone clinics. So they're not part of one of the institutes or centers I just talked about. One is our environmental advocacy clinic. So this is primarily a JD clinic, and it is our classic environmental law clinic where students are basically acting as though they're at a small public interest environmental law firm while they're in law school. And it's very focused on litigation because there are many students that want to practice litigation when they graduate, want to see what it's like while they're in school. And so this is a really special opportunity to try that out and work with environmental NGOs that do that kind of litigation work all the time. We often work with them as clients or as partners. And that clinic works on a wide variety of environmental issues. And then we also have our environmental justice clinic, which is a community lawyering based clinic. Both JDs and master's students can participate in it. And it's really focused on partnering with community groups and providing them with the legal assistance and expertise they need, but where they're really steering the ship in terms of the outcomes that they're looking for, the strategies that are used to help them achieve those outcomes, and really embodying social justice principles, not just in the outcomes we seek, but in the the manner in which the legal representation or, policy collaboration occurs. Next slide. So I think that's where I will leave it in terms of describing our programs. It's I think the most comprehensive environmental law program in the country, if not the world. So there is a little bit for everybody. And so that's just a sampling of what we offer, but hopefully gives you a sense of some of our core areas.
Thank you so much, Jenny. And I'll leave this slide up just for a few more seconds or so. Maybe you could take a picture or something like that, but then I'll also be sharing the contact information with you in a follow-up email next or tomorrow, along with the recording of this as well. But I'd love to open it up for questions now, whether you would like to put them in the chat or if you would like to turn on your camera and ask them that way, feel free.
While people are formulating their questions, I have one either for Anne or Jenny in when do students typically decide that they want to do a dual degree, and how do you counsel them as they come in as dual degrees? I know we have some admitted students that are very interested in that. And also the role of an LLM in this picture.
Sure, I'll take that one. With the dual degrees, remember my lingo that the dual degrees are 2 degrees with 2 different schools. So students usually would decide to apply for one of those during their first year of the JD program. With the joint degrees, where you're getting both your JD and your master's from Vermont Law and Graduate School, you can decide that you want to pursue that joint degree before you ever get here and just check a box on your application form or let the admissions office know. And that's great. Okay, you're pursuing the joint degree. But a lot of students are, they haven't decided yet before they arrive to start their first year. And they can wait and decide and add the master's anytime during their first year. We do a bunch of info sessions and reaching out to students. I have lots and lots of meetings with first year students who are weighing, should I just do the JD or should I do the JD and the master's degree? It's a super easy process to add the degree. It's just a form online. Like I want to add the Master of Climate and Environmental Policy, check that box, submit the form. It's not a separate or additional application. So it's a very easy process. And you would probably really want to decide by kind of February or March of your first year if you were going to pursue a joint degree. But I really encourage students to, talk to your academic advisor. Every student is assigned an academic advisor. Every student is assigned a career counselor right from the start. And it's a good idea to talk to that person as you're thinking what your career goals are. Is a master's degree going to help you get there? So that's a good conversation to have. Talk to financial aid, and of course, talk to faculty members who teach in the areas that you're interested in to help you make that big decision of whether a master's degree makes sense. It's not, this isn't like a cookie cutter thing. It's a different answer for every student, a different conversation for every student. Katie mentioned LLM degrees, which we didn't talk about here already, but I'll just briefly explain. So an LLM degree is an advanced post-JD degree, and we have a series of LLM degrees basically in the same specialty areas that we've been talking about this evening. So we have an LLM in environmental law, in energy law, in food and agricultural law, and in animal law. And students can earn a JD LLM joint degree, but the difference there is that you have to finish your JD degree before you start the LLM degree. So the LLM is going to tack on a little extra time. And again, I have lots of conversations with students sort of deciding whether the master's or the LLM makes more sense. The short version is I think for almost everybody, a JD master's makes more sense than a JD LLM, because you're done faster. You're in and out in 3 years and you've got both degrees in hand. Because of that, it's less time. So the cost is going to be less because you're, back into the working world more quickly. But I'm always happy to have that conversation as students figure out what option makes sense for them.
I'm gonna follow up with another question. When you do a joint degree, does that open more job opportunities for students, and where would they, what opportunities look highly on that?
I'm gonna let Jenny take that one because she herself has a dual degree.
I do, yes, a dual degree, that's right. So I have a master's in public health that I received concurrently with my JD. I went to school in Boston, and I do really think it helped me get the jobs that I had. So I worked at an environmental law firm out of law school, and then I went and worked at an NGO in Boston called Conservation Law Foundation. And what it felt like to me when I was graduating, and you know, the circumstances in the economy and the job market are different all the time, but when I was graduating, it felt like there were way more people who wanted to practice environmental law than there were jobs. At that moment in time, the economy had crashed right when I graduated. Lucky us. But I felt like I had something extra that set me apart. And so when I was applying to jobs, I had that additional master's that showed that I had some specialization, that I could master some different kind of technical skills. One of the things about that degree that I think was attractive was that it really prepared me to work with like technical experts, like expert witnesses in environmental cases, because I could kind of speak their language and, interpret studies and things like that. So I think that it sets you apart, particularly if there is a subject matter area that you're pretty passionate about. When I was at Conservation Law Foundation, I did some hiring for the organization, and I started a program there in food and agriculture. And if we had students that were interested in working in that program, and I could tell from their resume that, if they'd had a food and ag master's, that would have put them right at the top of the pile, because it's so hard hiring is really hard. It's hard to hire, people who you're confident are going to be good, who are going to, actually have the passion and knowledge that, they claim in their resumes. But being able to show you have a master's in a dedicated subject matter that not that many other people are experts in is just a real shortcut to showing an employer that like you have chops in that area, and it's not just superficial. So I do think, in addition to the fact that it's a great opportunity to learn more and to actually become more of an expert, I think, many of us get graduate degrees in service of jobs we hope to have, and I think it is very effective for that.
Thank you. And we have some questions popping up in the chat. So Graham asks, are dual JD degrees applicants also considered for scholarships and financial aid, just like non-dual degree applicants would be?
I might turn to Katie to help answer this one. And I'm not sure if Graham is referring to dual degrees with other schools or to joint degrees. So in the case of dual degrees, they're each set up differently. So like with the Yale dual degree, your financial aid for the Yale part is going to be done through Yale and totally separate from your financial aid for the Vermont part. So whatever scholarship you might have at Vermont does not necessarily apply at Yale, because it's totally separate. With the Cambridge degree, you pay Vermont all the way through, and Vermont pays Cambridge. So whatever scholarship you have going on for your Vermont degree is just going to keep rolling along with Cambridge. And Katie, maybe I'll let you tackle the joint degree aspect of this conversation.
Yes, with the joint degrees, we scholarship on specifically your JD program, but we do not scholarship on your master's program. However, you can share credits. So depending on the master's program that you choose, you share between 9 and 12 credits. So it's quite a savings for students.
Thank you both. And we have another question from Morgan here in the chat who asks, can you talk about the opportunity cost of doing a joint degree and taking classes over the summer versus doing a traditional summer clerkship?
I'll take that one. That's a good question for Morgan. That's a conversation that I have with a lot of students who are weighing whether to do the joint degree. For my advisees who are joint degree students, I constantly suggest to them that they pursue a JD externship as part of their JD program. Our JD externship program it's very robust. I think more than half of our students pursue a JD externship. You would do that in your third year, and you would spend either an entire fall semester or an entire spring semester out in the world at an organization or an agency or a firm, working under the supervision of an attorney, getting credit towards your JD degree, obviously building experience. So for a joint degree student, instead of that traditional first summer, second summer of work experience, you would be getting second summer master's externship and then a JD externship in your third year. So you're still getting 2 chunks of experience. It's just arranged differently. And I think the benefit to that first summer is that you're getting all of this specialized knowledge from the summer classes that is going to really prepare you to be a star in the externships that you'll do in your second summer and then in your third year as a JD student. So I think that if you were really hoping to be at like a big city corporate law firm where they've got that very traditional first summer, second summer track, that might be, then maybe the joint degree might not be the right fit for you. That doesn't tend to be the path of most of our students. So for most people, I think that doing those summer classes is really a huge benefit, that you're learning so much, and then you're going out and getting 2 chunks of experience just arranged in a different way.
Thank you. And Tremaine, hi Tremaine, asks, are dual degrees open to hybrid students?
The JD Masters would not work for a hybrid JD student just because the hybrid JD schedule is, it's very strict and set, and you're taking classes through all, fall, spring, and summer. You're taking your JD classes all year round, whereas our residential JD students aren't taking JD classes in the summer, so they can do their master's work in the summer. So that aspect of it would not work for an online hybrid JD student. The LLM joint degree might make more sense for online hybrid JD students because you have to finish your JD anyway before starting the LLM degree. So if you were really wanting to get a couple more specialized semesters of environmental courses and experience, then adding on an LLM at the end might make sense for you. That would be something I'd be happy to have a sort of deeper conversation about whether or not that makes sense for you.
And Graham asks, in terms of employment, how do the JD environmental law graduates fare as compared to the traditional JD graduates?
I can respond to that. Very well. They fare very well. We have alums in environmental jobs of every kind in every part of the world, pretty much, I'd say. It's something that I knew before I came here because I worked with alums at Conservation Law Foundation. A huge number of my colleagues there had gone to VLGS. But now that I work at the school, it's astonishing. I mean, how many people we have out in incredible environmental jobs. So I would say we really shine in that area. And many of our students get those jobs straight out of school, but many of them also, move into those positions in their second job, maybe. But those jobs are out there. It is a growing field, and our students are getting those jobs for sure.
Awesome. And Raluca asks, do any students get their master's and their LLM?
No, that would be crazy. No, I mean, the electives and the coursework available to students is basically the same electives in both programs. So it would be, I don't even know if it's technically allowed in the academic regs, but it would certainly be overkill and a lot of extra tuition. So I think choosing one or the other would would make the most sense.
Yeah, I don't believe it's allowed because they're very, very similar degrees. That's why some students do opt to do our master's program. So they'll do the JD master's because they can do it in 3 years, and then other students might opt to do the JD LLM. And both are highly recognized because Vermont law is highly recognized. So if you have a degree from Vermont law in your environmental, everybody knows. Then they know the coursework you've gone through. They know Jenny. So it's very well known.
I will say with the LLM, there are all kinds of LLMs out in the world. An LLM is an internationally recognized degrees. All different countries award LLM degrees. They're in all kinds of different fields. Probably tax is the most common, an LLM in tax law, but they're, it is out in the wide world, an LLM is a very recognized degree. So for people who are really interested in working internationally, it might be worth thinking about an LLM as opposed to a master's degree. And also if you're deeply committed to legal academia and see yourself being a law professor someday, then it might be interesting to think about getting an LLM. It's not like being an undergrad professor where you really have to have a PhD. It's not that strict, but a fair number of law professors have LLM degrees. So if you're very interested in international work or you're committed to being an environmental law professor, then the LLM might make more sense. But for pretty much everybody else, I think a master's degree, if you really want to get a joint degree, a JD master's is more efficient and makes more sense.
And this may be a Katie question again. Do students still have time to apply for the JD program?
Yes, Cassidy, and Jordan, if we want to put our Calendlies in the chat, yes, of course, depending on where you're at in your application process, you still have time to apply. There's still a June LSAT if you're planning on taking the LSAT, and then we also take the GRE. And interestingly enough, Jenny and Ann, the GRE, some top people in environmental jobs have taken the GRE and done quite well, and they're like in food and ag or they're in energy. And so it's been nice to give that option to working students. Oh, there's our Calendlies. Also, we are very flexible. I was just thinking of how you could do a JD LLM in 3 years. We could do that super sneaky, accelerated way to get through.
No,
accelerated JD. Accelerated JD. Good. This has been wonderful. Thank you, everyone. All right, Jordan, are we ready to sign off?
Yeah, absolutely. So I, again, will be reaching out with everyone's emails and contact information in a follow-up email tomorrow, as well as the recording of this event. And I just wanted to thank you all so much for joining us. Thank you to Jenny Rushlow and Ann Linehan, and to Katie for joining us. And we hope to see you guys in our upcoming information sessions next week. For anybody that is interested in restorative justice or any of our social justice programs, be sure to tune in as we will be having our theme next week or revolving around social justice. So thank you all for joining us. And again, please feel free to reach us by email, by phone, or scheduling a call when it's convenient for you. It was a pleasure. Go finish watching those TV shows that you were sharing with us. Bye, everyone. Thank you for joining.
Bye. Thank you.